know him from hydrogen peroxide. Hardwood
Good start, Beck.
peroxism, not hydrogen peroxide. I always say that to myself. You actually also know him from CBS, from NBC. He's basically everywhere. He is Matt Moore, and he is our first guest. Welcome on, Matt. How are you?
Hey guys, how are you?
Good. You've got the full headset working, and you've got good picture. This is excellent. We've got a guest going. You, sir, are the most famous Wizards blogger who also has a site called Hardwood Paroxysm. You wrote a big rant on Mike Conley after he got signed. It's a little bit of a joke, and he did okay. Are you willing to go back on those words? Are you sticking with them? Are you still upset about the signing? Have you softened with time? What are you thinking these days?
Back in January, I wrote an article to try and get out and ahead of this to basically say it was just titled "The Mike Conley Apology Post" on CBSSports.com. Unfortunately, no one read it. The comparison of
Yeah.
viewers to the first article in which I flambéed him to the second article was about 4,500 people. So no one read the second one to know that I was like, he's actually not that bad. And now everyone's like, I get
Yeah.
constantly asked, so what about Mike Conley? How about that Mike Conley? Oh, do you still hate Mike Conley? He took you to the playoffs. You still hate Mike Conley? I never hated Mike Conley. Look, I talked to Mike Conley back in 2007. He's a really sweet kid. I think he's got a good future in this league. But at the time they gave him the contract, he had not proven an ability to dribble. And dribbling is kind of important for point
Right.
guard. Now, he learned how to do it over the summer, which is impressive, but he couldn't do it before. And the bigger problem with the contract was the timing of it and the restricted free agency and the Grizzlies doing all sorts of, well, Grizzly things. And so, do I take it back? Yes, I take it back. Mike Conley is no longer the worst point guard in the league. He's no longer the worst starting point guard in the league. He's not in the bottom half of starting point guards in the league. He's a pretty good player. I stand by at the time me going off on him, even though I looked kind of like a jerk. All right, a lot like a jerk.
Yeah, and that was a time when the whole Wizards organization was very easy to criticize and deservedly. Now they're kind of a hot team for the future. Do you get that sense that they are going to be around for a while? Or are you worried that it's maybe a little more fragile than that?
As soon as their playoff run ended, and I got to be like, that was so much fun. They won all these games. That was really great. Good, they lost to a good team in 7 games. That was great. Immediately, I started having Clippers in 2007 flashbacks. That was the first thing that started flooding my brain. Was, oh God, what if this is just like the Clippers in 2007? Oh God, because the Clippers had that great run, right? And they had that great series versus the Suns, and it was awesome. And everyone's like, the Clippers are here. They have arrived, and then they did not arrive. They in fact crashed and burned into the
Right.
side of a mountain and continue to be run by Donald Sterling. So there's definitely a concern. I think that you have to be worried about them taking a step back. Look, Zach is the franchise player. He got the huge contract. He's going to continue to play well for a few years, but he is going to get older. One major industry or injury to that team, will really impact them. Apparently not Rudy Gay, but anyone else can get injured, and apparently that's a big issue. That said, I mean they've got a young core. They still have a really young roster with Conley and Gay and all these other guys, and OJ if they elect to keep him. They have this young core, especially with Marc Gasol, Wendigo. They have this great thing, and Zach will continue to be productive. He doesn't rely on athleticism, so he's going to continue to probably produce at a pretty high level. But so many things had to go right for them last year. I mean, one of the things when I started to believe that they were going to make the playoffs is when they went on the road the first game without Rudy Gay on the second game of a back-to-back on the road versus the Thunder and won in overtime because Tony Allen had like 27 points. It was the weirdest thing I have ever seen. And stuff like that happened all year. And so, you have to have a lot of luck in order to make the playoffs just as a team like that. And they got a lot of it, but the question is whether or not they'll be able to sustain it.
Right, and they're obviously one of the smaller markets. They've got an owner who's been willing to spend recently, anyway, and they've found success. It'll be interesting to see. It's easy, as you note, to get to the playoffs too. For a team with a market and revenue streams that Memphis has, it'll be interesting to see how their ownership and how the front office handles maintaining it in a fashion. The Spurs and other I guess there aren't a lot of other small market teams that have been dominant or really competitive for a long time. With that, I'm going to turn this over to my man Ethan, who is going to talk to you about among other things, market size, viability of teams, and what needs to happen in the CBA.